Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, Car Compulsion. Recently started this channel, please be kind. This is the first video I've ever done and the first video I've ever uploaded to YouTube. Very quick background on me. I am an avid car enthusiast. I was a very late bloomer when it came to passing my driving test. Didn't actually pass my driving test until the ripe old age of 33. I've been driving for almost 4 years, and in that time I've had 12 cars, much to the displeasure of my wife. And the only new thing that will be coming into our house this year is her with a new husband, should I buy another one. My current car is the M2 Competition. It's the best one of the 12 that I've owned. It's a keeper for me. It's one I want to keep forever. And I want to tell you a little bit about it, give you some initial first thoughts. And as the channel develops, love to talk about further cars, different cars. I know a lot of people in the car scene, and hopefully I'll be able to invite them on. Let's get straight stuck in and talk about the M2 Competition. I've had it for 1 month, and let me tell you what I like and what I don't like. Jumping out the car, guys, as promised, to give you a few insights into the outside of the car. I think we can all agree on one thing. You don't need to be a BMW lover specifically to say that this car is a very good looking car externally. It has a really nice stance. It has a very angry stance. It just looks the part. I would go as far to say that it's probably one of the best looking M cars that there is, or that they make, unless you're going back like quite a number of years. I'd say in the recent lineup, this is definitely one of the better looking cars. When I picked the car up, actually, I was lucky enough to actually pick up a demo car, a well looked after demo car that had just had its run-in service done from a dealership that I had to travel quite far to pick the car up. Specifically, I was lucky enough to get a few extras with this particular M2 Competition. It came with some extra carbon fiber pieces, which I can happily show you now. If we go down there, you can see that the front lips there were included carbon fiber. It isn't the full splitter, which you can get for this particular car, and something that I would consider looking at in the future, absolutely. At the moment, I'm quite comfortable with those. I think it gives it a really nice it gives it a nice little bit of flair to the side. I was also lucky enough to pick up these pieces, which were on the car when I picked it up, along with the little M Performance sticker. Again, adding quite a nice presence to the side of the car. And also it came with the carbon fiber spoiler, which is attached there. They do a bigger one actually, and it's very nice, but I think it retails for around 3 grand, which is you know, pretty obscene by anyone's standard. And it also came with the carbon fiber rear diffuser, which again really sets it off quite nicely. All these pieces are actually quite an expensive BMW option. Had they not already been on the car, I don't think I would have necessarily spec'd them specifically via BMW, I have to say. The only thing I think that lets the literally the only thing that lets the external part of this car down is the back box that is very visible underneath. Take you down and show it. Lovingly known by some people as the cow udder. I know that you can paint it black, and it really does make quite a sizable difference, but I am actually potentially looking at adding over the next month or two the new Miltech equal length OPF back system, because my car does have the dreaded OPF back that does suck away quite a bit of that straight six sound. Other parts that I really like from the external piece, I guess, you know, the wind mirrors are great, something that didn't come with the other M2. Before this, given that it wasn't classed as a traditional M car, I really like the stock wheels. I think they're great. I know that they are really unacquired taste. Quite a lot of people do not like these stock wheels. So incoming hate. That's if anyone actually even watches this video, but incoming hate if they do, because I know that a lot of people prefer the frozen gold or the black forged wheels that you can pick up, and there are some good deals on them. I am a multi-spoke fan. I like the multi-spoke wheels, and that's kind of, you know, I will be keeping them. I have thought about getting them powder coated, and that's something that I might certainly look into at a future date. The other thing I really like about this car is the front end. Really nice bumper, really good presence, really good looking front ended car. You know, everything functional, lots of good intake air options for, you know, flow, obviously to mitigate and push some of that air through to the brakes and up to the side of the car. And you know, I'm not a technical engineer, but I have been advised by people in the know a little bit more than me that the way that the air travels across the car and out to those fantastically bulged out hips at the back pushes air out and actually creates you know, some really good flow at high speed. If you're looking at the car from this particular angle, I think it's probably the wide arches at the back that make the car as attractive as it is. Other than that, there is nothing I dislike about the outside of this car. You know, there is absolutely nothing I would change. I probably wouldn't add more modifications to that I already have. I know some people like to add on the little coloured pieces down there at the bottom of the bumper. I may change the splitter. Other than that, I'm perfectly happy with how the car looks as standard, and it's certainly something that I, you know, would be absolutely not wanting to change. A brilliant car, a brilliant looking car, and now obviously happy to jump back in, talk to you a little bit more about what I like and what I don't like about the way that it drives, and get into some of the boring stuff that other people don't rate, like MPG, how comfortable are the seats, stuff that really does matter to me, and stuff I think matters to other people. Hi guys, so now we've had an opportunity we've had an opportunity to look outside the car for me to give you some insight into what I like and the way that the car is styled, and some of the little optional extras that feature on the outside. I wanted to do you know, a short piece on what I really like about the car. Obviously, the M2 competition is you know, now a full fat M car. It's moved on a lot from the original M2. The original M2 was a great car. You know, it was a brilliant car. It sounded fantastic. It just didn't have a proper M engine. It didn't have the 3-litre twin turbo straight six that this does. This is a detuned version of the M3 M4. You know, but it was a great car. This added in some refinement around handling and a lot of other stuff. What makes it a great car, and the number one thing on the three things that I like about it the most, is it's a real driver's car. It puts you to the test. It makes you drive it properly, and it is really unforgiving if you do not respect what it can do. It's incredibly quick. It's brilliant at handling, but it will test you if you do not do the right thing, especially in wet conditions, especially in conditions where it isn't optimal, particularly ice. You know, I haven't had the pleasure of driving it in ice yet, but you can only assume that this is going to be an absolute nightmare. It's a brilliant driver's car. It gets the pulses and racing. It makes you feel alive. It really adds a shot of adrenaline to the mix, and that is why, number one, why I like it so much. The engine pulls from all of the rev range. It's got a particularly good top end. It sounds good, albeit a little muted, but we'll cover that a little bit later. You know, and that would be, you know, for me, it makes me feel like I love being in the car. Number two is a boring one: miles per gallon. If you go into any forum in the country and talk about miles per gallon, you'll be burnt at the stake and hung, drawn and quartered for mentioning miles per gallon in a performance car. They'll be asking you, why do you own it? Well, you know, I get 1 mile per gallon everywhere I go. Fantastic. This is a daily for me, so I do care about MPG. You know, it's not the be all and end all of the world. I can afford to run the car, but this has good MPG. I got 36 MPG on the 150 mile commute I did the other day, and I get around 30 on the average daily 35 mile commute that I do to work. Nothing wrong with that. It's a huge plus point for me. If I have a heavy right foot, it gets down into the 15, 16, 17s, 20s. At the end of the day, it's short-lived. So number two for me on why the M2 competition is such an appealing car is that it is reasonably economical to run. Number three, and this is one that again might seem a little boring to people buying performance cars, but it's very comfortable. The seats in here are very comfortable. It's a good place to be. You know, it's a nice, supportive, comfortable driving position. I opted for electric seats with memory. It's a lovely place to sit, and for me, because I spend a lot of time in it, I want to enjoy the car. That's important. So the interior, the seats, number 3 on the things of why I like the car so much. You know, to me, it's a fantastic place to be on a daily basis. And when you're spending all this money on a car, why would you want to sit somewhere that makes you miserable? So number 3, very comfortable, very nice place to be. So to summarize, number 1, massive driver's car, brilliant fun, will not respect you if you don't respect it, and will punish you if you are not careful. 2, good MPG when needed. Bonus, it's money in the pocket I can spend on mods. 3, really comfortable place to be, a brilliant car. So all in all, from my perspective at the moment, those are the top 3 things that I love, and they make it, you know, an exciting and a great place to be. Other than that, there's a list of positives as long as my arm, but those are the 3 main ones for me. Happy to go on and talk a little bit more around the negatives, albeit there are not many, but let's get on to that. So, what don't I like about it? Well, the honest answer is not much. It's a brilliant car. There's very little to dislike. If I had to nitpick and go into specifics around 3 things that I really don't like initially after the first month, number 1 is the exhaust note. Now, I was one of the lucky people that have been battered due to the emissions regulations here in the UK. So I had a 69 plate M2, and the OPF filters within the M2 are very brutal on the sound. You lose a lot of the straight 6. You lose a lot of different sounds that you would normally get from such a blistering engine. So my number 1 pet hate is that the exhaust is too quiet, albeit that can be easily changed with a modification to the exhaust or an aftermarket exhaust. Number 2, I think it could do with settings for the suspension. All in all, it's a good ride. It's a manageable ride. It's pliant, and ultimately it's livable. But the new M2 Competition Sport actually has modes for the suspension. The M2 Competition has 1 set of springs only. It's not adjustable in comfort. It's not adjustable in any mode. That to me is a frustrating thing. And, you know, it is something that sometimes I would yearn to have a bit more of durability in the options that we have for the suspension. So that would be number 2. I think that would be a brilliant addition to add to it. Number 3 is something quite petty. At the back of the car, and you'll see this in the video, you can see the rather large and bulky back box to the exhaust that hangs below the car. Some people lovingly refer to it as the cowarder. It really doesn't look great, and that would be a pet peeve. I don't know why they didn't paint it black as standard, because as standard it looks awful. Painted black, very unnoticeable. But my ambition over the next sort of month or 2 is to add the new Miltech Sport equal length OPF back system, so that will hopefully moderate that. So there are 3 things in the first piece that you saw that I liked, 3 things that I don't. Well, thank you guys for taking a look into the first chat and my first YouTube video around the M2 competition. You know, the editing is probably not great. The content probably could be better, but there's a first time for everything. And I, you know, will, take any criticism and any feedback on board and look to improve my videos in the future. I will be doing another follow-up video to talk more about the engine, the car, the drivability, and just generally how the car makes me feel. This one's just an initial introduction to the car, a little bit about the outside of the car, and just a few things that I like and dislike. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe for more content. I aim to put out a lot more content over the coming months and hopefully up the production values, and obviously keep you guys informed about the M2 competition and get some other great cars on the channel. Have a great day. Cheers.